Anybody have some things they want to talk about before we get started? Sal, anything? Michelle, uh, Greg, Federico? Okay. So we're on GitHub and Manolo has the main branch up there and we've got a test fork and just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on how we would want to work in that. Do we want to have a fork or do we want to just have Manolo do us build out a couple of test branches? What do you think is most appropriate for you?
Yeah, so from a practical level, I don't know what's easiest because obviously our testing, we're going to want to deploy the fork or the branch, and that's where we want to do our testing and our fixes. Um, I don't know if how we keep that in largely in alignment with the releases that Manolo's doing. Because I noticed the test branch as of yesterday was on like 5.1 and Manolo was up to 5.3 at that point. Um, so it was behind by a good margin. So we kind of need to make sure we put a stake in the ground and then we all set up our test platforms using whatever that test branch or fork is. But I don't know if that makes more sense to do that on a fork or a branch or just do it on the main and submit PRs against that.
Uh, just a couple of um, thoughts on it. So if we do it on a fork and we just occasionally update from the upstream fork, we can get all of his changes. And that kind of insulates us a little bit, in case there's some instability while we're still in alpha, right? Because he's experimenting as well. So maybe we stay on that fork and just pull down upstream, and then that would allow us to also branch on our own fork as we're churning and maybe a little bit more if we're fixing bugs or adding in experimental things. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that sounds good. Essentially, the changes that we are doing, the development should go on a single repository, basically. So either using feature branches or other strategies. I'm used to use feature branches. So you create a new branch for a new feature. You work on this. Once it's ready, basically you submit your pull request, and then it gets integrated into the repository. Uh, I don't know how to work with basically with a main repo and a fork, but I don't see much complexity, and sounds good to me anyway.
Okay. Um, hey Evan, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, good. How's it going?
Good. So we were just talking about setup in Git, and you could chime in if you want. So we were just thinking
hmm
maybe a fork. We already have a testing fork, and it's a little bit behind already. And we were just thinking we can pull from the upstream and just synchronize that, and then work on features and bug fixes in the experimental, and then pull request into the main. I mean, it's an extra step or two instead of just branching, but what do you think? What, do you have a preference?
What's the reason for using a fork?
Uh, just to insulate ourselves a little bit from Manolo because he's still experimenting and
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
we're churning a little bit. And what I was thinking is in the testing fork, we can have a lot more bug fixes and kind of get things cleaned up before we give it to him. And
Mhm.
he's kind of off on a different path, and he may not even want to pull like individual fixes, right? He may want to.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Okay, Manolo, are you good with all that?
Uh, so those are really challenging questions for me. But what I want to achieve is to divide, maybe it's required more than one step because I create something that works on my side and then I make it live for you to test it because maybe it doesn't work everywhere. And then once you test it, then for me is the idea is to go live to the public. That's what I'd like to achieve. The problem here is how do we stay in sync? Because I go fast, maybe faster than actually you fixing the problems,
Mm.
and therefore I move at this speed. Then there's gonna be
Yeah.
a massive gap between what I create and what is public.
The
Well,
thing
it's,
is, Evan, go ahead. Go ahead. You have more experience.
I was just going to say what can work well there is that if you're moving really quickly in the other fork branch is not moving as quickly, uh, instead of just pushing into ours, what we do is we keep pulling from yours. So you don't have to keep merging. We basically pull all your changes. And so it's a system of we keep up with you instead of the other way around, because it could get really messy going the other way, because we would run into probably a lot of merge conflicts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that
that,
sounds good. Yeah, makes sense. And another thing is at the moment we are in a scenario where I'm developing and building and so on, and at the moment you are fixing and making live. But at one point, this is not the correct dynamic, okay? Because everybody should participate in the building. So you might have some ideas. You might say, okay, this part is not well developed. Let's develop. Let's change it. Let's make it bigger. Let's do something different. That's how I see it. So it's a community contribution. It's not me. Okay, at the moment, okay, I'm starting, and we need to align the whole thing. But then it should be different people, contributing to this, which probably there is a way to do it correctly.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a matter of setting up a release process, right? Because right now you're doing all the releases, everybody's running off of that. What we need is a development environment where all of us contribute to that and we test there and we stage it and then we release it. And that's what the public actually downloads to use. Um, it's more of a process issue than a technical issue. I mean, again, I'm not a programmer. Tom and Evan and everybody else can speak
yeah,
to that process, but from a testing perspective, my experience is in large corporations, breaking it down into development environments, staging, pre-staging, production environments, really having that separation. The developers are playing in dev and staging and pre-staging. They're not playing in production. And Manolo, you and everybody else will be contributing to the development branch, fork, whatever. And our testing would generally be in a staging environment where the developers say, hey, we've got a stable release, it's ready for test. And then it goes into, those folks that are going to exercise that particular release or pre-release to make sure it's ready to go public. That's more of the ideal scenario than everybody working on something that's always publicly available and, trying to test something that's still actively being developed is not great either, right? We need to have some sort of a release schedule or process where it moves from development to testing to production.
yeah. Maybe somebody that's really good at project management could set something up to where it's more structured. I've used in the past like they have like it doesn't have to be sprint cycles, but you can do that and you can set them up inside of GitHub so everybody can see it and everybody sees like where things are moving, what stage things are at. But that's more of a job for somebody who's good at project management, not developers.
Yeah, I agree. One thing we need to consider that we are working with AI means we are really going at a completely different speed. So what we've been seeing before, that kind of structure that for me makes sense, but we need to make that structure within a really short window. Because we can think about 3, 6 months, 9 months, or a year. This doesn't make any sense. Okay,
No,
3 months is already
no, no,
a
no.
lifetime in AI.
I'm more thinking about like tasks and who's working on what and who's picking up what and like something like a Kanban board that people can pull tasks from. And maybe what we can do is have a shared Kanban board and then use MCP to connect to that Kanban. So our AI agents are also communicating with it. And then we can pull and say, okay, I can work on this one, I can work on this one. And we can also have it to where, if there are bugs, you have the agents report them and they create the ticket. So there's like, instead of it having like Git issues, it's all something, just internal that we see and our agents can see as well. That could be something that would work.
Yeah, I mean, I've been using, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, want to say something. Basically, I agree with everything that everybody said, but I think the priority here should be to have a dev environment where essentially it can be installed on the three major platforms, Linux, macOS, and Windows, with essentially very little effort. So this will incentivize new people to join and to contribute. Also, another thing that it's very important is it's not very important, but essentially there is the risk that having two repositories, one main repository and a fork, at some point it will become very, very messy, and it will be very, very difficult to have in sync everything. So this should be thought very carefully, because we might be in trouble. This can make sense for production, to have a separate production repository, yes, that is pulling from the dev repos for being in sync with the latest fixes and changes and so on, but not for dev purpose. And for dev, essentially, we can work on the same repository and adding new features with the feature branches, using rebase, so that features that other people are adding to the repos, they are merged into the files we are working with. Theoretically, this in practical is one of the strategies that is used into corporate environment, and it works. Depends on which development strategy you use, but yeah, it works also, and essentially. It allows a team to work on the same repo, doing different features and so on, or bugs, bug fixing, and being able to be in sync with the latest version of the application. Yeah, so that's my thoughts.
Thank you. So I think we can achieve all of that in GitHub. We just need to decide on what that deployment cadence and structure looks like. And we're still in alpha, so there'll be that final branch, the deployable branch, once we get to that stage, when we reach something that's stable and deployable. I think that's one of the things we were working on today. Manolo and I were going through my install and kind of seeing what was there, and working on the setup agent to try to see what it needs to do a little bit, get it a little bit more intuitive, a little more refined, so that it's up front and can help you walk through the install process. Um, so I think to get this set up, we'll go ahead and um, have this fork, unless anyone wants to change it, we can test this out and start working in this test branch. Can you guys see? Shared the screen there.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Yeah,
we
I
can.
mean,
Yeah, yeah.
there, uh,
So go ahead.
I was gonna say there's just it sounds like there's some concerns around forking this, and those concerns are valid, right? Because if we're doing a fork and we're working on that fork, and Manolo's continuing to develop, introduce new features or whatever, having to try to merge from upstream at the same time we're trying to fix
I see.
downstream
I see what you're
and
saying.
combine all of that, it's if we're
It's really
implementing a fix
complicated.
and he happens to modify that particular area of the application upstream because of something else that he's working on, and then we try to pull those changes from upstream, they could cause problems with implementations that other developers have done. I guess my inclination is that all the developers, including Manolo, should be working in the same environment, the same fork. All changes go there, and then they move upstream to main upon approval and testing. But
Yeah,
having Manolo working on main, constantly changing it and trying to pull those down into a dev environment just sounds like a recipe for lots of headaches. And again, I'm not a developer, but you guys can probably speak to
Yeah. I mean,
how that is.
regardless if it's a fork or a branch, you're still going to have these same problems because they're essentially they're their own forks anyway. So even if it's a branch, it's like, yeah, it's the same repository, but even if you try and merge, it's still the same issue. But I was thinking, something that would be really cool and is actually something that I'm working towards is that I want agents to be able to do this. I want agents to be able to say like, oh, well, let's, do a pull request, pull out, look at the difference between the main branch, this branch, merge it, fix the issues, push it, done. Um, that's kind of where my work is going as far as like the stuff I'm doing. But it would be really cool to have that to where we have like an agent that can handle, because it's kind of definitely boring work, but it's also things can get really confusing and complicated if you don't have much experience with Git. So maybe that's something I can look into as well.
It's a great idea, but I think this will come later on, in the process. And yeah, maybe not so much later, but still, I don't think now um, we can essentially because we don't have the same the same code base we are working on. So the code base is not tested and validated for all the platforms. So this adds complexity. For example, I don't work on Windows or Mac OS. I only work on Linux. Manolo is doing all his work on Mac OS. Between Mac OS and Linux, there is some sort of similarity, but it's not the same.
Mhm,
So, and I totally agree with what Greg said before regarding the recipe for headaches. It's totally true. Essentially, Manolo also should not work on the main. He should, even if he works on his own repository, that's fine. But he should keep the main clean and work on feature branches or other branches, basically. So, and then merge his changes into main once it's sure, they're working, they've been tested, or so on. Then other people can pull from main or can rebase their feature branches from main and then basically integrate the changes Manolo did into their branch. So this way, essentially, a team of people, a group of people can do work on the same project without too many conflicts.
Yeah. Maybe we can save the fork for when we're in beta, right? We get to beta, then we can fork off um, if necessary.
Sorry,
No,
I didn't get what you mean, Tom. Can you say again?
I was saying, right now, while we're in development and alpha, if we're just branching and Manolo is working on his dev and he's pushing into main as he has features ready for us, and then we can all branch off of that. Alpha is essentially our dev pod right now, and then when we have a beta, we could fork off for that, and the beta fork can be the stable, QA ready release that goes into the actual QA site.
Well, but I'm not sure if we really needed to use forks because we could use the tags, for example, release tags instead. I don't really see a benefit of using forks. I've seen the fork used in a company I was working for the production. So we were essentially working on the dev repo, and once the changes were approved, code review and so on tested, then they would be merged into prod. But essentially, so into the production branch that then was used for for the automation for everything. I don't see basically a reason why we should use many branches, and also why Manolo and us or anybody else should work on different branches.
Okay.
So basically, these will also avoid us to be in sync with Manolo that is working on higher speed now and all these changes, because it will be more complex to integrate these changes into our repository and branches if we are working on two different repositories, on the main repo, the dev repo, and then the fork repo, right? So if we should essentially work on the dev repository altogether using specific strategies, and then eventually, if we want to use a fork, I don't know, we could, but we should basically use on this one and just use separate branches for what we are working on, and then merge into main once they reach some level of stability. So this way also we can get all the changes that Manolo did or everybody else did, and become basically having more or less the latest version.
And the reason for the forking right now is, and Manolo, I see your hands up, so yeah, I'll let you speak to this. But right now, Manolo, is every time you push to Git, you're pushing to main. And I think that to avoid forking and everything else, that's what we have to stop out of the gate, and then decide where devs are going to put their stuff, not directly in main. So Manolo, you had your hand up forever there, physically and virtually. You're muted.
I'm muted. I try physically because sometimes I lift the hand and then I see my hand lifted, but now it doesn't work when I want to. No, a couple of things. First, on this, what Ivan said about this agent that does the testing and so on. That was my first idea. Okay, so that's what I tried. Okay, I got mine. Now I create this agent and I create some virtual machine and allow AI to actually go there and fix and test and so on. The problem that I had, the amount of lies that this AI was telling me, I did it, fixed and sorted and so on, and then it's not true.
Mhm.
What is changed now? That was at the beginning. Okay, then I stopped using that strategy. What is changed? That now we have this logician that seems to be working. So we can set a series of protocol and rules that actually get followed. So through the logician and the gates, probably it's possible to create some specific protocols where AI does a test that we can trust because it needs to provide us with deterministic evidence. And when we have a deterministic evidence, we can somehow recognize if it's done or not. So it's a strategy that I think is a good one, and we should explore because this is the automation of this of this kind of amount of work that we need to do, and we can concentrate more on the creative part of it. So we can have idea development and improve instead of checking how on all the bugs and problems and so on. But also, from my understanding, Greg said that my latest code is less buggy. Or was me wanted to hear something nice? And that's it.
It was stable for a while, but there's been some regressions recently. So
Okay. Okay. So I was thinking that finally it was getting better, but no. Regarding the instead those branching and the dev whatever all those things on GitHub, my feeling is maybe we are too much planning uh, around me. Instead, we should say, okay, let's say that this is what we have today is the final product. Let's fix it and go live. And doesn't matter the rest. The rest, then we find a way to implement, not as a Manolo, but as all of us, what is best strategy to implement all the suggested new code? Does it make sense what I'm...
yeah, you should be contributing in the same way that everybody else is contributing when it comes to code. So whatever the actual developers here determine is the best way to have that code submitted for review, you should submit in the same manner, not submit to main.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
definitely
So,
easier. It's definitely easier if the main branch is kept clean, and then everybody works on their own, individual branches. And then what happens is you push into your branch, and then when you're ready to merge it to main, it goes to a PR just the same as everyone else, so it can be checked. Because you don't know what if somebody else has pushed into main before you. So it helps keep things all in sync, I guess.
Yeah, and
yeah, I think for me it's more clean, it's safer, and also because at the moment I'm the only contributors, we can test it. Okay, so we
Yeah.
build it in a way that is simple to look at, and then as soon as any one of you has an idea or something, even you, even you have, I don't know if you want to implement this inside the ResonantOS or not, what you've been building, but if you want to, then that is the same procedure. And I don't know, to me, it sounds much more clean, easy to understand for everybody. That's my feeling as a no expert.
it's not a big shift really. We just make a dev branch, and then we start all working on dev branch, and then like we said, preserve main and keep main solid and stable. And then hopefully when it's beta, we have it there ready. So it sounds like we're kind of in alignment. I think Federico stepped out, but if we want to have Manolo start working off dev branch, we can move that way now, and we don't need the test fork. We'll just abandon that, and just branch out onto dev.
I'm
Are you
here.
guys
I
all
can hear you. I'm just doing some stuff. I have kids with me.
okay? So we were just saying, go ahead and branch out to dev, and then Manolo, we'll start pushing into dev. All of us contributing into dev,
Yeah.
and then when we're ready, we pull that into main, and we're just judicious about what we pull into main.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's I think it's a good strategy and it will work. So everybody will basically will push into main. Sorry, into dev, using feature branches from dev, and then once it's tested and so on, we can merge into main. So we keep the main clean. We work on dev. Um, it makes sense. I think it's gonna work this way. The only thing is that I'm sorry if I stress on this. Basically, we have to make it working. It's also my fault. I haven't had the chance to work very much on it. If somebody already did some work, I would be very helpful. If I would be very glad if they can help me to set up a dev environment and. And then yeah, I can start contribute on this. I will focus mostly on Linux platform because yeah, I only have Linux on my infrastructure, and yeah.
I
Okay.
can
Well,
test on Windows. I
okay.
work I I work on both Linux and Windows, but I have a Windows machine, and then I just SSH in, but I can work locally, so I can test things on Windows.
Okay. And Greg, you're on Linux as well. Um,
Yeah, on Linux and Windows. I can test on either of those.
okay. Sal, what about you? What are you on?
on Windows.
Okay. And I think you're Michael, you're on Windows as well. So I started testing on Mac, and we're running and going through different panels and finding things and letting the setup agent fix that. We can continue getting that refined, but I think you guys can go ahead and do it just like I'm doing it now. Just do fresh installs and then use the internal setup agent that Manolo has, and it will go through, and as you find issues, it will fix them, and then we can just kind of build that in. And Manolo was talking about trying to get that agent to be a little bit more upfront, maybe in a static pop-up, just so that people have to interact with it right away to get the setup finished, and then work out the kinks, because there's still a few things, but generally, and it just took me a little bit of time, but I was able to get it set up and connected. I had a couple issues that I caused myself with OpenClaw, but it's uh it's working. We still have issues with like the NFTs. Not really sure what's going on with that, but just trying to get those bugs worked out.
Yeah, I would need help on how we use that setup agent. I, if it's there in my Linux environment, I don't know how to engage it. And I would definitely, if you guys trust my agent to fix bugs with code, which, I've so far just had it say what should be done in the issues I've been posting. But if you want it to directly make those changes in dev, I'd need to understand how to connect it to dev. I have no idea how to do that and get.
You need to check it out, clone that branch locally on your server or whatever you're working on, and then have your agent there locally doing
Yeah.
the
Do you
Okay,
work.
guys
so
want?
check it out and check it
Yeah.
back in when I've
Mhm.
made changes. Okay.
Yeah,
And then I assume the dev branch or whatever is a separate destination from origin main. So I would need to know how to specify that.
yeah, it might be helpful to have like just a small uh, Git reference sheet of different Git commands you can use
Okay.
to be able to, Git fetch, Git pull, Git branch, switching branches, Git push, Git add. I think just having like you know, a really small helper file would be good.
Okay. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be something in the working branch, just something shared.
Yeah. Just any guidance on how to actually work within the system. I want to make sure I
Mhm.
don't cause problems. And is there any way we can lock down main to where somebody can't accidentally contribute to main?
You
I mean,
can,
right now, I think Manolo's the only one that has permissions to do so, but
yeah, you can set down, you can make it to where only he can basically do the PRs and push into main. It's just the settings in Git.
I was
okay.
just about to say I should be locked out by that part as well. It shouldn't be
Maybe,
me.
maybe maybe it needs to be an agent. Maybe it's an agent that needs to have only the agents can write into main.
One more thing. First of all, thanks Samuel for joining this. And Michelle, I know that you came here to watch, understand, and learn. But if you have idea, if you want to share anything, if you want to join, be more active, just say so.
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes. Uh, I've been watching and observing like you're talking about the GitHub. I understand everything. It just I don't have a lot of practice, but I want to contribute to it. Actually, I want to test it a lot because I'm really good to test things and to broke things too. So, if you guys I don't know, or maybe I can ask my agent to make me like a small like tutorial how to pull and back, you know, to post to request code, so I can be like on board, so I can more contribute more like have idea because I have so many ideas, but for now I need to be like more flexible with GitHub. So that's why I'm learning how to use GitHub, and then I can be like more active.
So I think for now, for us more normal people, the way to do it, from my understanding, is to use issues. You see on the top left,
Yeah.
yeah, you can submit an issue. You say, look, I have a problem. You see, there is already a lot of issues being submitted.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Check sometimes. Okay.
yeah. So you can submit the issue, and you also, if you know how the fix should look like, because you fix it yourself, you say,
Yes.
look, this is the issue I have. This is the system I'm using, for example, Linux, whatever it is, okay?
Okay.
And then you say, look, this is the fix that I found to the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. I can start from tomorrow then, because now I'm using a Mac OS, but I have all Windows, all computer, a Dell. I think I can run like just one agent. Yeah, I can try to have a clean install, so I can be it can be more easy for me to catch you guys.
Perfect. Another thing that I was thinking, maybe you could, I don't know if it's possible. My AI, my ResonantOS is connected to GitHub. So you can
Yes.
ask to your installation to check if the problem has been already submitted and if it's different from yours or whatever. So you commit, you suggest, I mean, you carry on that issue by
Yeah.
adding maybe other elements
Okay.
instead of keeping opening things that are already been
Already done.
presented.
Okay. Get it.
Yeah.
A
That's great.
question
That's
on
great.
the branches that you just made there. I think, Tom, you're sharing your screen. Is that
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes.
Can you, this is just personal nitpicky. Can you change that to just say dev, all
I,
lowercase?
I certainly can. And I was going to
Yeah,
do that. I was going to
yeah.
do that and I didn't. Uh, okay. How do I change it now?
Or kill it and recreate it if it's easier.
Uh,
That's
yeah,
just
let me,
me being picky, but
I,
it's gonna be
I
easier
know.
for us. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, now I can't do it in front of you here. Let's see how am I supposed to do
How
that?
it goes.
Let's just delete it. Okay, let's make a proper dev and it's spelled with a capital D, guys.
No, I wouldn't do a capital. I would keep it all lowercase.
All right. All right. There we go. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Super. That's what we're used to. So that's the one that we will clone from, guys. Basically, easiest thing is just to pull it into GitHub.
Yeah. So my intention is to have my agent do any code stuff. So I'll have it pushed to dev, not to me.
Yep. Yep. And then these pull requests, we can see what these are. This is looks like some stuff that you put in here, Greg, some code, this fix here.
Those aren't, I don't know if that one's mine.
Let's see, who did this come from?
Don't know. This is in the new Git. So I think you copied a bunch of mine over that are active issues. I don't know that I submitted any pull requests. I don't think I've done any pull requests, just issues.
Okay. Yeah, quite a few here. All right, so that's good progress. So now we've got our dev and main, and we can start pulling from dev now and working and branching on dev.
Okay. One really important thing I need to know how what shall I do exactly? Because I don't want to break anything, and actually should be because it's my AI doing the work. I think we should somehow lock me from breaking anything.
Okay. We can lock main. We can change the rules on the main based on the collaborators and permissions. So we'll work on that. But for now, uh, essentially dev and main are the same because I just branched. And so you need to be pushing changes into dev. We will pull those changes and test them. And then we will branch on fixes and we will branch on features. And then those get merged back into dev. We don't yet have what we have in our mind is a releasable main yet, so I wouldn't worry about it yet. But when we're ready and we have something, we'll push it into main. Does that help, Manolo?
Uh, yes, I yes. I'm going really fast. That's the thing. I already have a list of things that I'm gonna change to what we have now. But so the yeah, we need to. My concern is mainly this one because there are a lot of elements that are broken that now I just discovered today, which I can fix tomorrow or during the weekend. And I'd like to go live with them as soon as possible because there are people using it and they have a broken version that I just realized. So my concern is more about understanding how, okay, now we have a system. Uh, how can we make it fluid? Because at the
So,
moment, what we created basically is it's a barrier, okay, for me to carry on working, which is needed. That barrier, or we need to make it work, and this is what we are trying to do. But at the same time, I just want to understand your, uh, if you can tell me, how long does it take something to move forward from your feeling? So
to move
I'm really
forward,
messy in explaining this thing because it's complicated for me, but hopefully it made sense. Because I don't want
if
to push anybody, but at the same time, now we have a barrier, right? So uh, that lead me make me feel like okay, I'm losing control, which is okay, but I'm losing control. So I'd like some reinsurance from you guys. That's it.
Yeah, so I mean, you can push, and Tom, you can correct me, but you'll be pushing to dev moving forward, and then we need to develop a process to review before we push to main. And that should be some sort of release schedule, review schedule. And I don't think the cadence on that has been established yet. So the fixes that you make, Manolo, you'll put into dev. And I'll need guidance on how we do this too, because I heard Evan saying earlier, I need to check something out, make changes, and check it back in. And I'm not sure the mechanics, or if I can just tell my agent to do that. And then, how do we identify what's changed, what needs to be tested so that a PR can be created, so that we can pull it into main. All of that I don't understand, but my understanding is we'll work in dev, and then there will be a process by which it'll go to main after testing.
Okay, that brings a lot of clarity, and I like the word schedule because it make a kind of something stable. And so, what we need to this system to work? Sorry, Tom, I didn't. I forgot about this. I need to go through.
so
To
this is the contribution workflow that you're referring to, Greg. Uh, we we kind of threw something together here. Hasn't been fully reviewed by Manolo, but essentially this is a good first start at how we're working, right? And this is just community guidelines based off of the DAO philosophy and implementation. So that's one of the pull requests on the main branch.
So clear, readable code. You probably don't want my AI making code then. I mean, I'm not a coder and I have no idea what the code looks like from my AI, right? I just know whether it works locally when he makes those changes on my local example.
Yep. And see, this even walks through making a pull request, updating your own fork if you're using a fork, review process, maintainers review it, address any feedback. I don't know if you guys can see, maybe I'm a little bit too, there you go. Maybe that's a little better.
Okay, so
So it's there.
I mean, I like this. What you were saying about Craig, what you were saying about the schedule and to the process. So this thing is, we need to decide the process so this thing can be activated. Otherwise, if we activate it without having the process, basically we just stop the work. Um, so anyone wants to talk about this, how this process should look like?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm hearing you, Manolo, right now you're working fast. So but you're pushing directly to main and you don't want to see that progress stop. You've got a list of things today that you know you can go fix, you want them fixed, and you want to be able to check them off and move along. And this barrier stops you from doing that. I would say, we need to establish a cadence. Like, our goal is every 3 days we push to main and then break down, who's testing what platforms during that period of time, what things are being tested in that period of time. And if you push a handful of changes today, Manolo, I think what you're looking for is when can you expect those to reach main if they pass testing? I think that's the question you're asking.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
how,
Thank you.
how does
That's
everybody feel about what sort of cadence should we have? And it will definitely be different than your instantly in main contributions right now, Manolo. So it'll probably be days out, not minutes.
Well, I think we're still in heavy build phase and testing phase to even get the alpha where we want it. So we can keep that sort of a round table manual agreement to push to main whenever we're ready. Manolo, that would address your concern with getting bottlenecked here. If you're working hard and you've got some fixes, let's just, collaborate and go ahead and say it's time to push to main. But we should have a regular cadence, as we're releasing at some point, whenever it's appropriate. But I think that point is a little bit further down the road because we're not at that stage where we have a clean setup and download and install, and that's really what we got to get to. So
the
really, that makes sense.
so what I think for me how I think we should move. There is an initial phase where we sit in this round table. You show me what is inside your computer. So I realize because I'm the one that can understand if there is something not working as it should. Okay, so you show me a little bit about your, like we did earlier, Tom. You show me the thing. For me, it was super clear. Okay, that is not supposed to be there. Why this is not there? And then, that's why I already have some fixes because I saw Tom computer and it was clear there was something was wrong. So now that I see, I can fix it. So if we do this round, then we really fast we align to what I have. Okay, and then we can move into this schedule that is a few days, whatever it is. Okay, 3 days would be amazing. Sounds really fast, but if you can do it, amazing. What cannot be is 2 weeks. Okay, 2 weeks is just I built the whole thing in 4 weeks. Okay,
Yeah.
so it cannot be the 2 weeks. Okay,
Yeah.
so 5 or it's a hand. Sal, say.
I just had a couple thoughts. I'm just trying to like zoom out just a little bit. I was thinking about like what we're talking about. It seems, and maybe you've already done this, but it seems like I'm searching for, maybe we're all searching for some like protocols that we can like all that everyone agrees upon that are just like pretty simple, straightforward protocols, even for this alpha phase. But also like if there was even some kind of a visual, like Manola, you said you're visual. I'm also like I like to see it. Um, see that there's some kind of like an architecture or triage way that like here's what we have protocols, and then here's what it looks like, and then here's like the urgency that here are things that like we urgently working on, and then these are things that are like are coming. And so I was thinking about how like if there was a way to have a process that even if you're not really 100% sure about how to do all these things, like there's people that have a lot of energy and a lot of like know-how that can be that if they can get a quick onboarding and they can find like a quick like, hey, you want to be part of this? Um, do the Here's a little onboarding video or something that we just give them. These are for people. This isn't public. This is just like for people like it's like me. I'm here. I have just enough knowledge of GitHub because I use it, but I basically had my AI basically set it all up and take me through it, and then I use it. But do I really understand all the nuance of it? No. But if there was a bit of like a little onboarding thing that we could just follow and then really rewatch and refer to and kind of get people up to speed and then have that architecture there like that. Here's what we're doing. You can jump into this or that. I think like just from my experience of the last couple days, I feel like I'm getting up to speed, but sometimes the jargon, their terminology, I'm like going, that probably means this. But I'm just thinking about like how to get people that are involved plugged in. Does that make sense?
Totally to me. I'm one of those people. So I totally understand. Yes, sometimes the language is a barrier, and not just because I'm not English is not my first language, but because some terminology, pull, push, branch, whatever, it's all confusing. So many concepts that are new to me, so I can, they become blurred. But with, like you said, an interface that I can see, a diagram will help. And this idea that you have to inclusivity, so easy, low friction for people to join and help, that is so important. That is so important.
Well,
So
like
I
like
totally agree.
like some of the guys here, like Fede and Evan, and even like everyone but me maybe has like there's a lot of people that just come on. They're just going to be worker ants or worker bees, and all they need to do is be pointed at here's something that you can do. And there's a lot of people that have the desire to help, but just that immediate like little onboarding, and then all of a sudden somebody shows up and Evan's maybe doing something, he's in charge of something, and then he needs people to do these tasks that like are just time they just take a long time or whatever, but he can send somebody on it. I don't know. It seems like if we had it like if the people are coming, if we have the things ready for them to be involved.
I think
Uh,
what you're saying is we need a internal Kanban,
Yeah.
something we can work from.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Just a simple Kanban board, and we don't have to be mad about adhering to sprint concepts, because we're moving a little faster. 2 weeks is way out, right? But at least if we have a board that we can work off of that gives us those, prioritized tasks that people can just rip off and start working on, that's what we need to set up. So I can take a kick at that. I think we have something like that in GitHub, right? Isn't there a built-in Kanban board there, or do you guys have a preference for? I mean, I've used DevOps and a bunch of other stuff. It really doesn't matter. It's just the concept of having a board, you know. but I think GitHub probably has something like that. It might be on like one of the tiered levels.
Believe so. I've used it in the past.
Do you guys know what we mean by Kanban board? Okay.
Yeah, yes.
Absolutely not.
Okay. So a Kanban board is essentially a whiteboard with sticky notes. And the developers will come around the table and you will write, oh, here's fix A, here's feature B. You put it on the board and then people get their names assigned to it. And you move the sticky notes around until they're deployed and ready to go, and then you're finished with the sprint.
Yeah.
So it's just
Thank you.
a way to organize tasks.
Yeah, super visual.
Just by the way,
It's
I
kind of like
just want to
workbooks.
share something.
You have them in ResonantOS. There's a Kanban board.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the
I didn't know the
workflows.
name, but yeah,
The bounties,
it's part of Resonant.
the bounties.
Yeah, you have your to-do blocked. I mean, you can name the title anything, but
Can I share the screen a second?
Sure. Somebody was trying to speak a moment, and I cut
Yeah,
him off.
That was
Michelle, I
Michelle.
think.
Sorry, buddy.
It's all right. It's all right. I would just want to share about the Kanban. Actually, I was trying to set it up for me, for myself, and also for my agent. So my agent can write all the tasks and follow all the tasks in the same time as me. So this is something I just find today. So now I will try to install tomorrow. So I'll let you guys. It's not important, but it's something maybe later we can think about it because uh, I want my agent to like automatically work and I can see what's going on in Kanban and see, okay, now we're in progression and whatever. So I just wanted to share this idea I have today. And something maybe later can be useful.
Yeah, like every mission control out there for OpenClaw has one of these of various
Okay,
forms. They've
okay.
got like every video that's been published by the influencers, whatever you want to call them.
Okay, I didn't know.
They say to make a mission control, and every one of the mission controls has a Kanban on it and of various forms. There's some interesting 2D pixel art and 3D
I
things
got
that
this.
have been built and all sorts of fancy stuff.
Uh,
Manolo, you do not want to see this screen that is currently being shown on my Linux implementation because it doesn't look like you want it to.
Really? Completely something different. So what I was thinking, maybe, you see, we have this Kanban, but what we could do, we could have maybe an equivalent on like a GitHub that get push or pull, whatever is the correct term, inside each one of us, so the community can see it. Or even better, we have, when we are ready, the bounty system. Okay, which is the same thing, but there is a reward connected to you sign in and get tracked through the wallet, so we know exactly who did it. You can create so you details. You can create a team, a tribe, and so on. But this is need to be created. Okay, it doesn't work at the moment properly. But yeah, that is. I don't know. I'm just sharing. I'm just sharing ideas.
Yeah.
And
It looks like we have what you
Saul's point, and Michelle asked earlier too how he could contribute. The idea of something just a very quick, you found our alpha, here's how you can help, submit issues that you find, and here's how you submit an issue. We could probably come up with a very quick document that tells people how to do that so that the barrier to entry for helping is very low.
And
Okay.
it could be in the dashboard itself without people need to go to GitHub. Okay, it could be within the dashboard, submit an issue.
I have a caveat with that. Sorry to interrupt, but I think we should have trusted members be the ones putting through these solutions and edits and stuff. Anyone in the public might put something through that might have injection or security challenges, and the agent may not realize if we just put it through. Like all of us in this chat, like I have 100% trust here that we're all trying to build the stuff because we're all involved and we're all working on it. But if we create a system that allows someone to say, oh, cool, you found the alpha, here's the GitHub, here's the push, here's the thing. And someone might just run through the whole thing, like, oh, cool, I can just inject whatever I like in here, and they'll just put it into the system.
Good thinking. So we could use Discord as well as a place for people to for people that are not that don't use GitHub, but they can just go on Discord. We could have a channel where people can submit issues, maybe.
Yeah, we could do that. And then we can collect the issues there and, check them against the GitHub repo and see if there's any, duplication conflict.
Very wise.
Okay. Well, so Manolo, are you comfortable with where we are right now as far as now pushing to dev and then cycling on dev and then pushing to main? Maybe the mechanics of it have to do the
Yeah, no, the
mechanics.
mechanics makes total sense for me. That is what was needed. The the madness I was doing earlier, it was just the first phase. Okay, that's how you start. Now we structure in a way that makes sense. The Yeah, once I think we need to do this first setup, so we get this aligned version of the alpha with at least aligned with mine. Okay, so they are the same, and then we can work in with this method.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll need to do that quickly, I think, Manolo, because I think we're all eager to get started on other things that are not necessarily on your list, and we need alignment, really defining what is the feature set for the main alpha right now. There's things in the interface that simply don't work at this point, and maybe those shouldn't be in the interface if that's our baseline on the alpha. Maybe those should only exist in dev until they're fully feature ready and then go to main. But
Yeah.
defining what the alpha is, and that way anybody that wants to download the alpha and play with it can, and then we continue to do the other work in dev. But I think right now, what we have today doesn't include those fixes you want to go do today. And I don't know if that's acceptable to you as the alpha, right? We need to put a pin in the alpha here and then start working moving forward.
Yeah, I totally agree. What I don't think is what we should do is to pin the alpha now. We should first do our meeting, set it up so we have an alpha that is at least, it's the alpha that I have in my mind, because at the moment it's not. And then we start doing this kind of work that we are set up today.
Yeah, so I don't
And
know
we can do, if
like,
you're free, we can do it this Saturday or Sunday.
yeah, my weekends are questionable. But we can try to work that
No,
out.
no. If we do at this time, okay, if we do, because for me it's evening. So during the day, tomorrow I'm gonna be busy. I got the video to do, the newsletter. There's a lot of work to do. But after basically after at this time I'm free. Okay, even 1 hour, 2 hour before now, I'm actually even 3 hours before now I'm free
Tomorrow
Manolo.
or
tomorrow.
okay. I could do tomorrow. I don't know if Tom
Yeah.
is able.
Are you asking to go through and go system through system and
Yeah, well,
look at the
basically,
setup?
my idea is that ideally would be that there is three of you. So one is on Linux, one is on Mac OS, and one is on Windows, for example. And then we see this feature, I show how the feature should work on my system. And then you show me, does it work like this on yours? Okay, and then we see, yeah, maybe on Windows works and maybe on Linux not, and maybe whatever. Okay, What is this? Your battery?
You got to
No.
plug in.
What was my computer? So we align these, so we all know at least where are the problem on each system, and then you know what kind of problem, because maybe you see something you don't know how it's supposed to work. So for is it even impossible to fix it because you don't know what is that thing, that feature is there. Or like today I discovered that Tom had a couple of pages that I don't even have on my website, on my version. Okay, because it was an old things that I did that was supposed to be deleted and it's still there instead.
Sure. So I'm available to meet tomorrow. I can stand up a Windows instance if somebody that's not already running Windows can't be there. And I have my Raspberry Pi for the Linux side. If you can do the Mac side.
Sure. Yeah, and I'll probably even play with the windows as well, so we may have a couple of those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. We can do this. Think that it's gonna be a long session. There's a lot of things to go through. Uh, Anyone, of course, is invited to participate and join, even to watch the madness of this process. Uh, but yeah, I
If
think
we could have Zemo send out an invite more than 1 minute before the meeting, that'd be awesome.
I'm
Greg,
gonna do it. I'm
Greg,
gonna do it.
I sent the invite. I sent the invite last night at 11.
I didn't get it.
Yeah, it was on the chat. It was on the chat where you were asking for it.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
my question is, should I pin it? Is that why did nobody see it? Do you pin meetings so they are available on the
You
pin?
do at group, presented at in this case is what's the name? Pioneers Tech,
And then
and
they will
everybody
find it.
should receive a notification.
Okay, cool. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
okay, so 3 p.m. Eastern, 8
Hold,
p.m.
hold on. So today, what time did we meet today?
Today was
Eight,
Depends
3
on who
p.m.
you
eight,
ask.
8 Central European Time,
Yeah,
7
for them. I mean,
Greenwich Time.
for us was for us was 8. Okay, so for me was 8 p.m. We can even meet or 6 or 7.
For
I'm
you, if you're
flexible.
in London, it
I'm not
should
in
have
London
been
at the moment.
7. Okay.
I'm in Italy.
Okay.
So if it was 8, we can do two, even or 1 hour, 2 hours before, or even at the time that we met today.
Your
You
choice.
tell me.
I'm flexible.
Yeah, that works for me as well.
So 2 hours before.
Sure.
Now for me now, because I have kids and I'm only a single parent, so I have to take care of 2 kids, and it doesn't work for me. They come back from school, they need to eat and everything. So either 8 o'clock, which is same time of now, or another time.
What about, just thinking louder, what about if we start and then you join when you are ready? Because they said that they can cover Linux
Yeah,
and Windows.
yeah,
So
sure.
yes, because it's a lot of work. There's a lot
Yeah,
of
it's
pages, a
gonna
lot
be a
of
Yeah.
while.
functionality. So earlier we start, the better it is. And then when you're free, you can join. And anyone else that wants to join, this of course is open to everybody. I don't know if
Yeah,
you
I
want to
mean
go through this
it's open to
madness.
everybody, and we have 3 platforms that we have to go through meticulously. Just a small number of people need to be there to demonstrate those platforms. So Manolo can see what's working and what's not. So don't feel bad if you can't make it. And I think we've got Windows, Linux, and Mac covered at 6 p.m. your time, Manolo, tomorrow.
Yes, I'm gonna create an event, and sorry, I don't need to create an event. I'm gonna just, I mean, the link is, I'm gonna create it. Okay, decided. Gonna save it. Sorry.
Do we have a community calendar?
Not yet, but we should.
Okay, it'd be
But
nice if
then there
we.
is always the problem. Okay, for example, I'm okay using Google
Okay,
Calendar, but
okay.
some people are not, and I agree. Yeah, and I agree with them. So I'm okay using Google because at work, with a lot of different company, Google is what they use. So okay, I give up. Okay, but I understand people are not, and I like to support those that are not. Okay, because I really believe in that kind of philosophy. Let's say,
Free choice.
yeah, free choice. So the problem with these free choices that I mean, with the good with Google, with at least the people that work, they create an event and then everybody has it, and there is no misunderstanding of the time because that is the problem, right? So, yeah, it's that day. Samuel unfortunately came a day earlier of one of our
Mhm.
call because it's in New Zealand. The day changes.
You know, it's okay because I know this old fella named Bob, and he had a saying, and the saying was, "I'm in favor of whatever works." So I don't care about Google. I don't care about if it's your Google Calendar. That's fine if it solves a problem. I just don't use it for me.
No,
Is there,
yes, no. The problem is sorry, Tom say.
no, go ahead.
No, of course, so every one of us can can use whatever they want. What we are trying to see if there's something that we can use on common, so everybody can see it, and and get it sync with their own calendar. So I don't know if there is this whatever solution.
Is there anything on Discord? Can we do like a calendar channel or something where we're just posting the events?
Yeah,
Or
maybe there is a way. I don't know, but
I'll,
for
I'll I,
tomorrow, it's gonna be my calendar. What's the name of okay, ResonantOS dev? I'm gonna share this link inside the copy. Why it's so complicated? I was gonna share this link in Discord. I hear a lot of silence. I'm not on the window. Are you still there?
we're still
Yes.
here.
Okay. Okay. The silence was carry on, and it was kind of interesting.
It's the Zoom. They
Yeah, because
mute.
I'm not on. I'm on a
Noise.
different window, so I'm not watching what's going on. So 8 p.m. Central European Time, and I know 6 p.m. No 8. So you are gonna do the math, okay?
Very good.
You see, Chimo, there is the at actually Pioneer Tech. They will get it.
That made a noise on my side, so I
Yeah,
saw it.
yeah. We heard a lot of computer going nuts.
Got it.
What is it?
This is tomorrow or when?
Yeah, I think did I set correctly? Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. Okay.
I set
Okay.
up as a 4 hours call. Okay, then we will see.
Okay. We'll see if we can make it under the 4 hours.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. If we die before, but in case we can do in multiple days, because I believe it is a lot to do. For what I saw in your installation, Tom, it's a lot to do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's first step, right? Like you said, get to the alpha, get the alpha stabilized, and then we can start on the dev process. But I think this is a great start. Anybody else have any things they want to talk about on here? I have a million questions for you, Evan, but um, anything else you guys want to talk through?
I have some
Okay.
questions,
Go
technical
ahead.
questions. Um, two very simple. One, which development environment are you using, guys, for writing code?
Were you asking me?
Anybody, you
Anybody?
or Tom or
I use Windows and Linux. I go back and forth. I go
no?
into VPS. I go into Ubuntu. And
Yeah,
then
yeah, but for writing code, actually, what I don't know, agent or stuff you use
Oh
for
yeah,
writing
yeah.
code, like yeah.
Lately I've been using mostly GPT 5.4.
Okay.
It's
By itself or within a harness? Because I use the ChatGPT
mhm.
5.4 over Codex.
In
So the
Codex.
Codex CLI.
Yeah,
So I don't even use it myself. My agent, my AI,
it connects.
yeah, it connects to that one and delegate the work through a
Yeah.
protocol that I built.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably the most inexpensive. Its token is probably like half of using Claude. I do use Opus. I mean, I use Opus for like if I have like something really complex and ChatGPT keeps failing, or in Codex, I'll go to Opus and I'll have it build the plan. But as soon as I have the plan, I send it back to a lesser agent. So I only use like Opus for planning mostly. I did try the Minimax. There's a new model. Minimax 2.7 just came out, and it's super cheap. It's about the same price as Gemini Flash 3.1, which is like dirt cheap. But it's
Okay.
good. It's actually really good for doing really quick things. But I gave it like a plan that ChatGPT 5.4 had created, and I gave it the plan, and I just to see if it could do it. And it knocked it out, and it gave me like when it gave me an answer back, it like had everything structured like, oh, here's like a diagram, and it's like, wow, that's pretty impressive for a cheap Chinese model.
Okay,
So
cool.
that's one I've been playing with now.
And last question, do you need to install OpenClaw first before installing ResonantOS?
Yes.
Okay.
Have I installed it before? Yeah.
It must be working, right? So with API keys and so on.
Yeah, you install during the installation of OpenClaw. At one point, there is a steps. Okay, it's gonna guide you. It's a guide installation, and it's gonna ask you for the API key, whatever it is, and then you
Which
give.
one? ResonantOS is
No,
asking
this
you.
is OpenClaw.
OpenClaw.
OpenClaw is gonna ask you. There is a guided
Yeah.
installation. It's gonna ask you whether, for example, if you want to use Telegram to communicate with it or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So you give all the information, then you have a working system, and then you add ResonantOS.
On top of it, okay. This should be documented. It's not in the
Yeah,
repo file.
in theory, this is another thing that we need to check. In theory, the README file should actually give you all the information to set
Yeah,
up everything.
of
And
course.
there is an agent inside the ResonantOS called the setup that if you talk with that agent, the agent should help you set it up. It's not there to fix problems that don't exist. I mean, it's not there to fix problems, okay, but it's to find, for example, there are things that are not connected or not configured yet that setup agents knows what to do and it's going to help you out. Then if there is something broken, of course you can still use the setup agent to fix it, but it's then it's you don't know if he's going to do it or not.
Manolo, one question. How do you talk to the setup agent? Because once I installed Resident OS, it didn't appear. They didn't have any message, but I know it's there. But it doesn't work.
So
I don't
you
know how
go,
to talk to.
you open the terminal and you write OpenClaw TUI.
Okay.
Okay, and now you start talking with the agents, hopefully. Okay,
I see.
then when you are here, you go on slash agent. Okay, agents, open agents picker. Okay, and now you go and find the agent that you want to talk with. And in this case, it's set up. And now you have the agent set up, and why is 2.5? I just changed all of them to 2.7, but not this one. Anyway, and now you can talk with the agent.
Okay. Perfect.
And that's
Thank
what we
you.
were trying to expose that and try to get that up front so that you don't have to go and find it and
Yeah,
go into, I mean,
exactly.
because I couldn't find it either. And you have to OpenClaw TUI, right? Like I wouldn't have known that unless Manolo told me, right?
It should pop up like for the onboarding. Yeah, so it could be like more easy.
Yeah, exactly.
And it will find things like it found a couple of bad directories that I had created, so it was able to work around those. It got the panels working, even the broken panels.
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, it
Okay, I
did a
will
good
try
job.
this.
Yeah,
Okay, I
it
will
fixed a lot
try.
of things. Yeah.
Okay.
So exactly. So with this agent, if you see, for example, the logician is not working, you say the logician is not working, fix it, and it knows what to do because it has access to the SSOTs. So it knows the structure, it knows how things are supposed to be connected and so on and working. So because of the SSOTs that you have the architecture, all the documentation, the agent will try to fix.
And ultimately, it should do a scan of your system, right? And
Okay.
then just go ahead and start fixing them.
So
So
another thing, did you see what I've done here? I ask to move to Minimax 2.7, okay, and it changed the model.
The
What you
model,
need to
okay.
do, yeah, what you need to do to give a model that is capable of doing this kind of work. So no like Haiku, those not the super stupid one, okay. Give a little bit of
Okay.
someone that can do some reasoning, and then you will be fine.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we look at my Linux install tomorrow, Manolo. That setup agent doesn't exist under agents at all. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
But it should be. Tom has it. Why you don't have it? I don't understand
And
this.
I'm completely synced with Origin main right now.
Manolo, you're on the
Are you committed?
typical it works on my box scenario now. It works on
But
your
yeah,
box.
but now it was also your box, Tom. Why is not on
Yeah, but that's a
Greg? That
Mac.
is the thing.
That's
I
a
don't know.
Mac
It
though.
works on
It's
my
not
box, Greg.
Linux.
I don't know why it doesn't work on yours.
Yeah, you Apple people.
Ah, yeah, it's true because you were on Apple as well.
I am not.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
bad luck. Tough
yeah.
life. What can I say?
It'll be a fun adventure with Windows too. We'll see what we see there.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
we will fix it tomorrow. Okay, this is gonna be sorted out tomorrow.
Yes.
Very good. Manolo, anything else that you would want to address?
No, I just want to thanks every one of you. Amazing, honestly. Just it's just great to see so much help for this project. I really really appreciate. I just it's hard to believe, honestly. It's talented people that wants to build something together is beautiful. So I really appreciate each one of you. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I guess we'll call it here. Does anyone want to stick around and talk about anything off topic? No? Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll see you guys tomorrow and on the Discord if you need anything.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Have a wonderful
you.
night. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Shimo,
Okay,
can you
thank
stay a
you.
second more?
Thank you.
Thank you.